Well, hello there, friends, lovers. Thank you for joining us. This is 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir, and we are glad you are here. Yeah, we're talking fast. We're high energy. We're frolicking. No, well, that's part of what we're doing. Because reasons that we're going to get into. Today is September 1st.
Yay! And tomorrow is Atlas Shrugged Day.
What the actual heck? September 2024. Folks,
how does this work? What sort of system have we devised as human beings called time and dates and months and days of the week?
Over the next 5 minutes, we will explain it all.
What hath evil man has wrought, or something.
So, I'm just bringing up the comments here, as I always do. It's good to see Jim's clone checking in on the YouTube side, because I don't see him on Facebook yet. And this whole episode, or at least the parts when we actually talk about the substance, the topic at what comes after that preposition, it's entirely Jim's fault. Well, not entirely. It has to do with the week we've had as well.
Blame Jim.
Blame Jim. I'm good. We need a scapegoat. And nowadays, goat, means greatest of all time. So,
yes.
Jim is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the GOAT for this episode. Folks, September 1st, 2024, that's right, the 245th day. With 121 left, that means it's exactly 2/3 of the way through the year. 121 days left to make this your best year yet. That's one extra day, but again, this was one of those leap years when we got the extra day. We had to leap over that extra day. Christmas is in 115 days. Halloween is in 60.
Yay!
Because, September 1st, October 31st. That's it. The countdown is on.
Well, no, today is the first day of Halloween.
Yeah. I thought you said August 1st was the first day of Halloween. Every day is the first day of Halloween. You have 20 days left. 20 days until the equinox. 20 days until the fall. Make sure your next few weeks are outstanding.
You know what? That's 20 days left of summer.
Yes. So do things like this. Do you see that? We'll get back into these pictures because this is what you need to do over the next 3 weeks. We'll talk about that. First, though, happy birthday to Barry Gibb. Barry Gibb is still with us, so tell me in the chat, the best. There's too many of them to pick one. Your favorite Bee Gees tune. That's right, Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees is 78 years old today.
I don't have any.
Oh, your love isn't very deep. How deep is your love? You were a disco fan. How could you not think, the whole Saturday Night Live soundtrack?
No, that wasn't disco.
Or I'm sure we have fans who go back to, the late 60s when the Bee Gees first came on the scene out of Australia. But I love the fact that Barry Gibb is still alive and kicking, 78 years old, but 7 years older than Barry Gibb, still with us, still acting, still producing. Lily Tomlin is 85 years old today. Lily Tomlin, incidentally, was born in the same place this show is broadcast to you from. She was born, in fact, not just on the outskirts of Detroit. She was born in Detroit, Michigan.
She's pretty cool.
In 1939.
Yep.
That's just amazing.
Yeah, my mom was a big fan of Lily Tomlin, and I really appreciated her.
I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember the original Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, but those were the days, and Lily Tomlin was awesome. You can certainly feel free in the chat to share your favorite Lily Tomlin whether show appearances or films. I always think of All of Me with Steve Martin.
Yes.
It was cute, and it's funny because it doesn't really hold up as well, but when I was very young, I thought it was the most charming film. I thought it was super sweet, very funny, and I think I'd still recommend it. Kind of in the same way I would recommend Steve Martin's Roxanne, which is also kind of cringe for me now, but I loved it when I was younger. Happy birthday, Lily Tomlin. Happy birthday, Barry Gibb. One more birthday goes out to Johann. That's right, Johann Pachelbel. No, wait, that's Pachelbel. Of course, we all know Pachelbel's canon. For that alone, of course, he should be canonized. But one of the great composers of all forms of classical music. I think we played the Pachelbel canon at our wedding. Not as the wedding march, but it's a great piece of music.
I don't think it was our wedding. I think it was somebody else's wedding.
Was it? We've DJ'd weddings or run sound for. DJing sounds wrong. We've run sound for weddings before and DJ'd receptions.
We've played live music at weddings. We did, you had your guitar and I had my saxophone.
Yes, we've done that too.
We did that. And we have many talents. Yes,
One more on this date. Bobby Fischer defeated Boris Spassky in 1972 on September 1st. And that is why, even though there's a World Chess Day, which I think is a couple months ago, today is National American Chess Day. This was the day Bobby Fischer defeated the Ruski. The Russians are some of the Russians were very good chess players and were considered by some to be unbeatable. Well, Bobby Fischer showed them at the height of the Cold War who were the champions, my friend. So all shouts out to Bobby Fischer, a complicated personality, but he did win the match of the century on this date in 1972. And the only other on this date I've got isn't on this date, because it's tomorrow, September 2nd, Atlas Shrugged Day. And that's an important day. Of course, Atlas Shrugged September 2nd being the day Ayn Rand actually started writing Atlas Shrugged, and she commemorated that date in several plot points. In fact, I asked about Atlas Shrugged Day on Google, and you may know, and for posterity's sake, it's 2024. Artificial intelligence right now is a quirky thing. It's very useful in many ways, but it's early days. Eventually, AI, artificial intelligence, will be something else altogether. It'll probably be running everything. It may well be running our lives, or destroying the earth, or raising us to levels of prosperity hitherto unknown, if hitherto unknown really means anything in this context. But when you do a Google search these days, you may have noticed one of the first things they'll often offer you is AI overview. Artificial intelligence is already taking over internet search.
I like it, actually. It gives me a pretty thorough understanding of a lot of things.
It's
not everything, but
it's like some really smart girl or guy, some really smart person, like a switchboard operator, took your Google request, and they did it, and they sent it, and all the results are there. But before all of that, they tell you, well, this is probably what you'd want to know most. Well, Google's AI overview, when I searched for Atlas Shrugged Day, quote Google, or Google AI. I wonder if Google AI has a name, like Siri or I won't say the Amazon Echo device's name, or she'll start talking to us. Quote, Atlas Shrugged Day is celebrated on September 2nd because it's the day Ayn Rand began writing Atlas Shrugged in 1946. The novel's story also begins on September 2nd and includes pivotal events on that day. Google's AI continues. Atlas Shrugged is a controversial novel that caricatures socialism, communism, fascism, and state intervention in society.
I don't think it caricatures, no. I think she had a pretty accurate...
yes.
Straightforward.
Yes. Gucci AI goes on. Rand believed that the mind is the root of all human knowledge and values, and that its absence is the root of all evil.
So controversial.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, really?
Well, I wouldn't even put it that way, but yes.
I know, but still, I mean.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
She also believed that capitalism is the only social system that allows productive thinkers to create and produce the material values that all lives depend on.
Well, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Isn't it?
Gee, Google AI. I mean, Google AI got most of it right, but what is this? Oh, she caricatured Socialism, communism, fascism, state intervention.
Don't care. Don't make fun of the socialists.
Really? I think Google AI may not fully appreciate how much weight the word caricature carries in this context.
Yeah.
But, time to fight back. I said, well, if Google AI thinks that, I'll bet ChatGPT won't let us down in that way. So I asked it, ChatGPT, what is Atlas Shrugged Day? And here's what ChatGPT had to say. Here's what the folks at OpenAI have their AI engine saying. Atlas Shrugged Day is a celebration of the novel Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. It commemorates the publication of the book, which first came out on October 10th, 1957. The novel is a cornerstone of Rand's philosophy of objectivism, which emphasizes individualism, self-interest, and capitalism. The day is marked by fans of Rand's work, who often use it as an opportunity to discuss the ideas in the book, promote objectivist philosophy, and engage in activities that reflect the themes of the novel. Celebrations can vary from readings and discussions to themed events and gatherings. Well, ChatGPT, checkmate Google. Mm-hmm. That's what I say.
All right, very good.
So yes, it's not on this date. It is in fact tomorrow, but since we may not be talking to you again before then, happy Atlas Shrugged Day. You know, we celebrated Rand's Day on February 2nd.
Yes.
Ayn Rand's birthday, and this is just as good a reason.
Yeah.
To get out there and do something nice for yourself.
Yes. Maybe take the day off.
As many people will.
People will be. Well, a lot of people will be. Not everybody, but it is Labor Day.
Labor Day here in the States, in the colonies. Not so much back on the continent, I'm sure.
Before we get into that, I just want to say that, well, according to Wikipedia, and I think this is pretty accurate, it says the core idea for the book, Atlas Shrugged, came to her during a 1943 telephone conversation with her friend Isabel Patterson, who asserted that Rand owed it to her readers to write fiction about her philosophy. Rand disagreed and replied, "What if I went on strike? What if all the creative minds of the world went on strike?"
Damn straight.
And then she's like, that would be a good novel. So, here you go.
Yeah, as the story's told, I thought it was Frank O'Connor who came in with the comment, that would make a good novel. And she said, that would make a good novel.
Yes.
In any event, you can actually read that story in the book, Who is Ayn Rand?
That's right.
Which is out of print.
Well.
Even though it went through 5 printings, it was very successful in the 60s when it was published by Blumenthal, Nathan Blumenthal, and his ex-wife.
Right.
Some of you know those people as Nathaniel and Barbara Brandon. Yeah. And the book is out of print. And the people have assumed room temperature, so you no longer need to worry about sanctioning those who mistreated Ayn Rand so viciously. But the only reason I bring it up is you can read that book online at archive.org. Their lending library has it.
Yeah, it says after this conversation that she had with Isabel Patterson, Rand's husband, Frank O'Connor, who had overheard, affirmed to Rand that would make a good novel. And, so... And originally, the original kind of concept name for the book was The Strike, which would, of course...
What would that mean?
Kind of given it away a little bit. Yeah,
because then you know in advance that it's a story about baseball. So, don't want to give that away.
Oh, by the way, I think it was Stephen in YouTube mentioned Ayn Rand's open letter to Comrade Spassky, chessmaster. I haven't actually read this in a while.
I have not read it since...
Comrade Spassky.
Since I got my copy of, was it the Objectivist newsletter or the Objectivist? Whichever of her newsletters she published it in, we've got the big blue copy.
Yeah, it's in, I guess it's available in Philosophy Who Needs It.
Good.
Yep.
Excellent.
Nice.
That may well be where I first read it. Excellent. So just bringing up another page here. So yes, tomorrow is Atlas Shrugged Day. Make sure that you celebrate. Now, I usually next would go into what are we listening to this week and what are we promoting? Well,
Well,
do we want to give a brief mention to the big topic of discussion this week?
No.
Okay, then we'll leave that out. In that case, all I've been listening to this week is John Anderson and the Band Geeks' new album, True.
Actually, the new album by John Anderson, the Band Geeks. Well, it's a great album. It's kind of reminiscent of Magnification by Yes, or maybe even the latter a little bit. Thrown in, with John Andersonisms, all thrown in there, just gloriously thrown in there, and it's mixed up with. So the Band Geeks are some really excellent musicians who have interpreted the style of Steve Howe, Chris Squire, Trevor Rabin, and they do like original music, but kind of a nod to the style of those musicians, and it's really good. So yeah, if you like Yes, if you like John Anderson, we definitely recommend that. It's called True, and it comes with this very, very interesting cover designed by his daughter that makes him look a little bit kind of like a gangster rap kind of person, or maybe a hip hop artist. But
there are people who have bought.
I like it.
There are people who have bought Yes albums and other albums with cover art by Roger Dean, almost entirely on the basis of the album art. And this new album by John Anderson and the Band Geeks is not going to be one of those albums. Unless they're looking for rap music, in which case they'll probably be disappointed. And they should go out and buy his album In the City of Angels instead, which incidentally also has a sort of gangster rap look on it. So,
okay.
So there you go. This is not new, this kind of style for John Anderson, an album art, I mean.
Yeah.
And his daughter took the photograph. Okay, his daughter designed the album cover.
Yeah.
Now, if my daughter designed an album cover for me, you can bet your assets that I'm going to use that album cover regardless of what anybody has to say. So,
yes.
There
you go. Yeah, but no, John Anderson's doing great.
Yes.
I'm very happy that he put out new music. Do you think they're going to be touring?
They're already touring, yes.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Will they be touring like a third tour, which will focus on this album?
Yes, that's
I
what I
don't
mean.
know. That's what I would love to see.
Yeah.
I don't mean to get so much into Yes. We talked about them last week too, but
we're getting into Yes.
But John Anderson, the former lead singer of the band Yes, has toured solo and with other folks in many different configurations, and the tours that he's been doing with this group of musicians who call themselves the Band Geeks. And these are not just a bunch of geeks who get together on the internet, although they do that, and it's what's made them famous. These are professional musicians. The leader, for example, Richie Castellano, is the bass player for Blue Oyster Cult. He's been touring with them for over a dozen years.
Is he original or no? He's not original.
No, he came on as a touring musician.
Right, yeah. But he's really good.
Kind of like Tom Brislin joining Kansas, primarily as a touring musician.
Yeah.
Well, he's now a member of the band. In fact, he wrote most of their last album. Well, Richie has that same kind of pedigree with Blue Oyster Cult. But when they're not touring, he's doing other things. There was actually some overlap. He tells a story about that. One night he was touring with BOC. The next night he was playing Yes songs with John Anderson. You've got to be a damn good bass player to pull that one off. And he's not just a bass player on the album. He plays some of the guitar. He's a multi-instrumentalist.
I think he's got two kinds of Rickenbackers, right?
Well, I think he's got a 4001 and a 4003.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and the 4003 is what they started making in the late 70s when they discontinued the 4001. If you can find one of those original 4001s with its quirky wiring, the interesting pickup, which is not important unless you want to try to sound like Chris Squire.
Yes, that's right.
And in that case, you run your neck pickup, the bassier sounding pickup, you run that through your bass amp, and you run the bridge pickup through a Marshall stack.
Joseph says, "Don't fear the Rickenbacker."
That's good. That's right. Don't fear the Rick.
Let's see. We've also got a funny zinger from, I'm going to give you zingers. Robin earlier says, "A talent for sax and violins."
Oh.
No violins, sorry.
That would get our ratings up. More sex and violence on the show.
Oh, another one says, Robin says that Gibbs is, he says, I guess he's staying alive.
Staying alive. Barry Gibb is staying alive.
Very nice, guys.
That's good.
That is good. If you made a zinger that you think I should repeat on air, then just repeat it. And I'll
we have
try to
let
find
the chat go by this morning. I've got them both up on the on the Facebook side. Jim Ashley is saying, "Is this the party to whom I'm speaking?" That's Ernestine, one of Lily Tomlin's charming routines. Very, very good. Yeah, I'm not a big Jane Fonda fan, but I love that her and Lily Tomlin have got a successful series going on. You're never too old. It's never too late. Well, until it is. And Objectivist Matters says, my discussion with ChatGPT and setting them straight. I'm going to have to listen to that. Read that, rather, because it's been interesting. ChatGPT, like all of the LLMs, the large language models, these artificial intelligences that learn from interactions, people like Jason have been straightening them out. You get in conversations with ChatGPT, and you could ask it a math question. What is 2 + 2? And it says 5, because it's not doing math; it's doing language, and it gets things wrong. And then you can say, well, 2 and 2 is actually 4, and you'll get an answer something like, oh yes, I see that now, considering the way in which, and then it will give you a long explanation for why 2 + 2 is actually 4. And you're like, it's not really thinking, it's not really doing math, it's combining words in meaningful ways. But even the meaningfulness of it is, it's artificial. It's interesting because at what point, though, does that come so close to what people do that it is essentially not artificial intelligence, it's just intelligence? There's a debate, but not one that we're going to have today. No, the debate today, and we need to get more into these chat comments too, but the debate today, so add this to the chat, is, well, we all know the primacy, fundamental philosophical principle, the primacy of frolicking.
Right. Well, that's the nature of a human being.
The nature of a human being.
It's the fundamental.
I asked a couple different dictionaries for definitions of frolicking, and I got things like, to move and play in a manner of children. What the hell is up with that? So I had to go to Oxford. And the I don't think that's Oxford University Press will straighten us out, right? To play and move about in a lively, happy way. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Why wouldn't you always move in a lively and happy way? And yet, we don't always. So that might be something to work on. Well, who cares? What the hell? Why are you talking about this? And the answer is, it's all Jim's fault.
Blame Jim.
Jim Blim.
That too.
I think my dyslexia is upping act. Yes, a dyslexic man walks into a bra. Blame Jim. It's all his fault. Jim Ashley, the writer. If you're not friends with Jim Ashley or following him on Facebook, well, if you are, you already know he will combine movie reviews and movie critiques with philosophical analysis in ways that you want to read. This is a bright guy we're talking about. But that's why I get to put all the blame on him, because he did post on Facebook. It was not one of his sort of existentialist posts about nothing. No. He said, the question is not whether to frolic or not frolic. There's more to that sentence, but I'm going to stop right there because he's right. The question is not whether to frolic or not frolic. And yet, in a way, it is. How much should you frolic? How much of your time should be spent light and carefree and happy? But he continues, not whether to frolic or not frolic, but where to frolic. What is your favorite location for this activity? This is all Jim's fault. Why would you raise such a question? He says, There are so many possible responses people might have, such as in an open meadow, in the road, as long as there's no traffic. Paul McCartney would agree with that. Why don't we do it in the road? So, in the deepest tunnel of a railroad terminal, as long as there's no traffic there either. I don't know about frolicking. I guess it would depend on whether sandbags are available.
Ooh,
and he did say on an ocean beach. Well, that's not an ocean beach. That's actually a lake beach. There's Lake Huron on the shores of Michigan there, where we had the opportunity to go laking with Jennifer. Is Jennifer in the chat today? I don't know.
Not yet. I did talk to her earlier today.
Oh, okay. Maybe she already got enough of us in your conversation with her. But I didn't include any pictures of us on the beach, but that is our gear that you see there. And yes, there was frolicking and swimming, because if you frolic in the water, you also have to swim. Otherwise, you won't frolic for long. And that is a good place to frolic. I encourage frolicking on the beach. I encourage frolicking in nature. In fact, I got a big dose of nature, was it yesterday or the day before? If you can frolic in the rain,
yeah, that's great.
Do not miss out on the opportunity to frolic in the rain. You know, it should be a whole...
Keep that up.
Oh, well, you want more of that? No, I actually had a video I almost put up, but decided against it.
Yeah, you're looking fine there, darling.
Well,
you love
was very
going
wet.
Out. You love going out in the summer rain.
I do love walking in the rain. If you can frolic at Greenfield Village,
yes.
If you can go to the gardens at Greenfield Village in Dearborn, Michigan, or any other historical museum, you can frolic anywhere. Now, some of the motions of frolicking may seem a bit too much if there's other people around. Be judicious. You don't want to scare the children. You especially don't want to scare the adults. Kids are a little more open to that stuff.
Oh, you can scare adults all you want.
Well, you can. It's not always wise. It's not always advisable. But, yes, you absolutely should. And the reason why I have to get into this arguably silly topic is, why don't we frolic more?
You know, because we have have-tos.
We have a lot of have-tos and shoulds and shouldn'ts.
Right.
You shouldn't frolic. You know, men, we don't skip.
No, unfortunately not.
It's ironic because, skip is a man's nickname. But men rarely skip. Girls can skip. Women can skip, and that's cute. But how often do they, really? How often do you dance?
Today. I danced today.
What kind of dancing did you do?
Oh, I did flamenco, of course. Flamenco.
Your usual Sunday morning flamenco practice.
That's right.
Well, you'll be performing this week, won't you?
Friday.
Southeast Michigan, folks, you want to be at the Detroit Institute of Arts. Yes, one of the great art museums in the Midwest.
Yeah, or maybe
3 o'clock,
not.
Is that start time?
It's 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, okay.
Yeah, we need to be there at 3 o'clock.
So be in the Diego Rivera Gallery, the big gallery at the front doors.
Yeah, you don't have to look at the artwork, but you can look at the dancers. There's a number of different dancers there, and I'm sure it's going to be very nice.
To be clear, you do want to look at the artwork in the museum, but the Diego Rivera Gallery, with these, masterfully created murals, were created by... we're so quick to call people communists, but...
Well, he's a communist.
But he was a communist. Yeah. And so you've got... It's in Detroit, so you've got these murals of the inside of factories, auto factories and airplane builders and chemical factories, and you've got these really stingy and mean and petty looking managers looking down over the industrial workers who are making all this stuff happen.
Yeah, well,
some of them are having to wear gas masks to do their job, and
it's so very Mystics of Muscle, if you're familiar with that term from Ayn Rand.
And at the very top, you've got these really creepy-looking, like CEOs and directors, and they just look miserable. Anyway, the Diego Rivera Gallery, I don't mean to scare you off by the art. It is well done, and it's easy to ignore because
Halloween.
Because you'll be watching dancers.
Yes.
And the museum itself is worth visiting anyway. We've got a Van Gogh, we've got a Bouguereau, we've got some of the great art in the Detroit Institute of Arts. You need to be there this Friday at 4 o'clock to see Amy dance. But even better would be if you dance. Well, not necessarily on your way there, but between now and then. If you skip, if you shuffle, if you slide, do you saunter? It's the word Andrew Bernstein used to use for... Strut.
And swagger.
Strut and swagger.
Yes.
The reason why I bring up frolicking, aside from the fact that I'm not the one who brought it up, Mr. Ashley knows who that is that I have to remind myself. In fact, it's one of my Post-it notes. This is not the Post-it note for the week, but I have a Post-it note here to remind myself of modalities. There's a great emotion ring out there. We talked about this before. There's a couple of them out there. If you look for a ring of emotions, because it starts in the middle with like a little pie chart. There's happiness, sadness, anger, depression. And then for each one of those, they separate it out between joy and ecstasy and, on the other areas, bitterness and ennui and depression. We think in terms of these primary colors, but there's so much more to it. And I think we should do the same thing for the way we manage our state, our physical modalities.
Modalities.
We walk, and sometimes we jog, and occasionally we run. And that's like living life red, blue, green. Red is great, blue is green, blue is great, green is great.
I like a nice coral or a teal. It's really good.
We joke about that because women know colors, men don't.
Salmon or periwinkle.
Yeah, and guys are like,
chartreuse.
I'd love for you to get me something, fuchsia, and we have to look it up. What actually is that? And we do the same thing with our motions and movements, our habits. We live in primary colors, and it's a beautiful thing. Again, there's nothing wrong with primary colors. Red and green and blue are the best colors in the world. But we hardly even get to yellow and purple and orange, much less any of those colors where women know the names and guys don't.
Yeah. Robin says there seems to be buzzing in the background.
Buzzing in the background.
Let us know, everybody, if you hear any buzzing that might be bees.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope not.
Let me stop talking for a second. Yeah, the noise floor looks a little high. I apologize for that. I'm not actually going to walk over to the mixer and change that. But I'm going to bring the overall levels down a little bit because we do have some auto leveling. Let me know if that seems to help a little bit. And we'll be sure to talk loud too, which is always a good thing anyway. Incidentally, in connection with all of this, that's one of the things you can do is moderate your voice. We take our voices for granted. We don't change our voices unless we are, of course, Kamala Harris doing that thing that she does when she speaks to different groups and she picks up on their accent and their emotions.
Every politician does that.
I know, but she was called out for it by the other guy, the contender, the competition.
Who's that guy again? I don't remember his name.
But the funny thing was when the Apprentice host, the game show guy, said that, the newspapers said, well, Donald Trump doesn't understand code shifting. What the hell is code shifting? Well, it's what Kamala Harris does when she is dealing with groups who have different modalities.
Oh.
As I mentioned previously, some of us used to call that being two-faced, of lacking integrity, of lying. But no, now it's code shifting. Now it's something considerate that you do. Heck, even the left used to say, that's cultural appropriation and blackface, and you can't just act like a group if you want to fit in with them. Well, apparently you can, and that's now considered a good thing.
Well, that's been done forever, ever.
Well,
since the days of oratory and language. I mean, people have been... Anyway.
Well, today, and only today, I'm going to stand up for it. And not because I want you to go around in blackface, but because I want you to try different modalities. I want you to walk, but I also want you to run, and I want you to jog. But I don't just want you to do the primary colors. I want you to get out there and frolic. I want you to get out there and dance and skip and strut and shuffle. If you can shuffle. Shuffling's hard. Depends on if you've got a good sense of rhythm.
It's really fun to do a good grapevine, if you know what I'm talking about. The grapevine. It's really, really adorable and sweet. Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I'm sure you're right.
We've done it before. We actually did that when we were learning the foxtrot. It's the zigzag move.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super fun. Yeah.
Well, certainly you should learn all 16 dances.
Ah, yes. All 16.
Yes.
Including rock lobster.
Yeah, and the hypocrite.
And
but seriously,
escalator.
Yeah. The B-52s fans know what we're talking about.
You know.
Yep. In my set lists for the upcoming rock and roll picnic, which incidentally is one of the reasons why we're having a very light show today, because I've got so much going on to get ready for that.
Yes.
But yeah, on the set lists I've got over 20 songs here, and there's not a single one from after the 1980s. It's a set list of songs from, I probably shouldn't even show this because that would be a spoiler if I did, but it's songs from the 70s and 80s. So we'll have to work on that. If you have any suggestions for songs from the 90s, the aughties, the 2000s, or, God forbid, something from the teens or 20s, which would not be too hard to learn and that a lot of people would know at a rock and roll event, by all means, feel free to share your suggestions in the chat, with emphasis on not too hard to learn in a short amount of time.
And not Wonderwall.
Not Wonderwall? How can it be not Wonder? You got to do Wonderwall. There's jokes out there about capos are being sold out now that Oasis has announced their reunion tour. The Guitar Center can't keep capos in stock.
Oh, jeez.
We've got musicians in the chat. They know what that means.
They know.
That little thing you stick on your guitar neck to change its tuning.
That's right.
Capo on 2 for Wonderwall, folks. But yes, feel free to share your suggestions. My only suggestion is that you get out there and frolic. I talked about some of favorite places to frolic, but I'm kind of making the point that I don't really have a favorite place to frolic because I have acted, I was going to say foolish. No, I act happy and what was the other word? Energetic and childlike in places where that's not appropriate. You've seen the photograph of me standing on tables in public places. Another thing I strongly encourage you to do.
You know who's a really good frolicker? And I don't know if a lot of you know this.
Okay.
But there's an objectivist.
Yeah.
He lives in California. He's a nice guy named Scott Halloran. He's a writer. And
Scott's got the right attitude.
Yeah, he goes around and he puts his AirPods or headphones or whatever in, and he goes around his neighborhood. Instead of jogging, he just dances to the music that he has in his ears, just down the street. I just love it. And I've seen this. If you ever go to Ocon and Scott Halloran is there, you'll know, because this guy is just an aerobic wonder. He's just zipping around the dance floor like nobody's business, full of energy. And this guy, I mean, he must be at least my age or older. And he's great.
Well, he's one of these guys who's going to be like Lily Tomlin or Dick Van Dyke, still alive and working at 95.
Cool.
Yeah. Too cool. So we went to see Daredevil and Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, we did see that.
And one of the best parts of that was the preview beforehand for I forgot the name of the film. It's the new Santa Claus film with J.K. Simmons in it and The Rock. And if anybody hasn't seen it yet, J.K. Simmons has been training with Dwayne Johnson, with The Rock. And J.K. Simmons now looks...
Oh, Red One.
Red One, that's what it is. Red One. And it's an action/Santa film. Kind of like that one we watched last year. Which I also forget the name of. But yes, an action. This is becoming a genre where Santa Claus is part of a, blood and guts and guns action film.
Violent Night.
Violent Night.
Violent Night.
Violent Night was horrible. And
I liked it.
And yet in some ways it was really cool.
I liked it a lot.
You've somehow got a new genre of action Santa.
I'll just say
blood,
that,
guts, violence, profanity, and Santa Claus.
I'll just say, and I don't know this or not, but for the Red One movie, we saw the preview, and I was a little bit put off by how they handled Krampus.
Yeah. Well,
because Krampus is not really a bad guy.
I came into it with a more positive attitude because I saw the photographs last year.
Oh, right.
It was early 2023 that J.K. Simmons started training with Dwayne Johnson, with The Rock. And he's buff, and maybe you could look it up for me. How old is he?
Let's see here.
He's got
Simmons.
muscles on his muscles. He's just like, and he looks old because he's letting the beard grow out.
He's 69 years old.
69 years old.
What?
And he's getting, the David Letterman beard because he's Santa Claus, of course. And he's totally buff. It's crazy. It's what would happen if a 68-year-old guy started training with The Rock, and a year later he's looking great.
How many days till Christmas?
Oh, let's see. I didn't memorize that. It's 115 days.
All right, very good.
So yes, I'm sure Red One will be worth seeing, even if they didn't get Krampus right. But they're changing everything, so you can't expect it to look like you would have expected it to look in Victorian times.
I'm going to write a philosophical treatise called "In Defense of Krampus."
That's a good point, because it's not enough. Now, one of the reasons we love Santa Claus is because he is the exponent and proponent of justice.
Yes.
He gives toys to kids when they're good. And when they're not good, he doesn't give them anything, or he gives them a lump of coal.
Yeah.
To make sure. The lump of coal is important because you've got to know it wasn't just that you were forgotten. You weren't forgotten. And that's the important thing. If you were bad, you got a lump of coal. But Krampus dials it up a notch. It's not just enough that good kids are rewarded. Bad kids, well, if they're bad enough, they need to be punished, right?
Yeah, that's right. They need to be thrown into the sack and eaten.
I know all of the objectivists out there who practice positive parenting are like, no, punishment should not be part of the mix. Just not being rewarded is enough of a punishment. I probably would have to agree with that, but still, Krampus is a long and honorable tradition and should be handled well.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
You might know far more about that than I do.
Yeah, do I know too much about
that? You
probably
even know what color Krampus is, and it's a color most men have never heard of.
Right. Well, I don't know. Black and brown and, I don't know, white and something more earthy. Actually, Krampus has more earth tones to him, depending on where you're getting your Krampus sources from. Yeah.
Yep. That's it. We're done. The only other thing I've got is, well, first we need to go through the chat. And Amy, of course, will let me know what I've missed. Although I'll do some browsing here, too. But Ashley says, when will I receive my punishment, in this world or the next? That's the problem. If you don't believe in an afterlife, then karma's got to work quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it can't be a lackadaisical karma.
Yeah, you might only be alive for another 100 years, and we got to figure out some way to make this right. To true it up.
So Jim, we didn't say The Rock is 69. That's J.K. Simmons. That's the guy who was in Whiplash, and he was in other things. He's in like those insurance commercials and whatever else he's in. But anyway, he's a pretty cool actor. He's in better movies, I'm sure. I just don't remember.
Yeah, if you've seen the memes from Whiplash, like, not my tempo. No, it's okay. Go ahead. That's J.K. Simmons.
We have a great question.
Good.
How is objectivist Robert Garmong doing? And yeah, I was actually going to bring that up.
Good. Well, you know that far better than I do, so lay it on.
I just got an update from him, and it says, let's see. It says, oh my gosh. Okay, so basically we are, we still have the GoFundMe page up for Robert Garmong. At this point, though, he's doing pretty damn good. He's supplementing his income, being a driver, like Grubhub kind of thing. He's got his son with him and everything. I think his son is now in school. I know that there were some issues with that, getting him into public school and the vaccinations and all that nonsense. It was really difficult. But things are going a lot better. Unfortunately, they're still trying to get it looks like you're gonna.
I'm gonna step out of frame for a moment. You keep going.
Anyway, yeah. So his wife Malay is still in China, and they're still trying to work through the U.S. immigration service to try to get her into the States. I do believe that she's taking some English classes so that when she does get here, she'll be able to actually speak the language. So that's really good. But it seems to be winding down with the GoFundMe and everything. He said, this is what he said. By the way, the GoFundMe was perfect. So thank you to everybody in the audience right now who contributed. He goes on, he says, it got me through my entire move, including setting up the house. Let's see here. And then it bought him a car, paid the first 2 months of his rent, and paid his living expenses right up to when his first paychecks will start being deposited. So that's fantastic. I mean, it sounds like it was just perfect. I think we raised around $30,000. So thank you again. That's amazing.
He kind of leaves out the life-saving part.
Yeah, I know. By the way,
I mean, the reason most of us contributed was, not just to help him get back on his feet after cancer, but to help him survive it.
Yes. He didn't. There were a couple of times which were pretty scary in China, going through their hospital system, and but he said, this is a very. He says, without the amazing support from my friends, I would have had a much harder time getting here. Well, that's an understatement.
In case anybody's wondering, especially Paul, I just adjusted the levels on the microphones.
Oh, good.
And the auto level should compensate for that, but hopefully if there was any hum, that's gone, or it's substantially lower, let me know. But yes. It's a great question, and thank you, Amy, because you spearheaded all of that. You were the person behind the scenes who made it all happen.
Matter of fact, I should have a parade.
You should.
Honestly, I really think in terms of frolicking,
you should strut.
Having a parade is the best form of frolicking. I would say that is the penultimate frolicking experience. Having a marching band and dancers, and the batons and the color guard and all the big floats and somebody or other with a tiara or two on, and just waving like the queen, and I just sashes and and flowers being thrown. That's what I would like. Flowers being thrown. And let's see, what else? What else do I want? And the key to the city. Finally, when I get there, the mayor will hand the key to the city to Santa, and then Santa will say, "Oh, no, I don't need the key to the city. I think Amy Nasir deserves the key to all cities across the world."
We're talking about karma. I think that would be just.
Thank you, Santa. It's such an honor, Santa. I love you.
Yes. 102%.
Thank you for attending my fever dream. No, but parades, that's what I would love, actually. Yeah. So if anybody wants to come to Michigan and throw me a parade, please. Yeah, and it can have a second line. I don't have to be dead.
I don't know what Jim's up to here. Sorry, I'm just catching up on the chat.
Oh, Robin says the buzzing is gone, he thinks.
Thank you. Yeah, I just turned the gain down. It might have got knocked higher on the mixer that we use for these microphones.
Yes.
I know we only have one on camera, but there's actually 2 microphones involved in this production. And anyway, glad that helped. Thank you very much for that. And Jim says, I'd love to engage in frolicking in the forest, but there's the risk that I might get arrested. All right, I think he's letting the secret out there. I want to know who he's frolicking with. He also says, by the way, Dwayne Johnson showed his comedic talent in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. That film was way better than it had any right to be. It was really good. He says his character always had to restrain himself when about to start crying. Well, you had the body-mind switching going on, so of course characters partway through the film have to start acting like another character. And Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart worked really well together. That was a great combination. I mean, Jack Black was good too. He's always good, but in particular, Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson. That was great casting.
Oh, that was great.
That was really well done.
I love Dwayne Johnson. Oh my God, he's just the best.
He projects such enormous benevolence.
He really does. Even when he's cussing, you're like, you're cussing, but I can see right through you. Yeah. But Robin has another zinger here about J.K. Simmons and the Red One Santa action film. It's what happens when you leave out a protein shake for Santa instead of a glass of milk.
That's good. That's good. Incidentally, Chandler says The Rundown is my favorite Dwayne Johnson movie. Have not seen that. But let me make a note of that. Because YouTube always kills the chat for a day. I usually save it after the show so I can read it before they restore it. Yes. But we will look into that because we did just run out of... We were watching Murdoch Mysteries, and we've run out of them now. We got to wait another year for more. So
shout out to Robin again for another zinger here in the YouTube chat. And by the way, Robin, I think that you need to get out and share your talents with the world. Hint, hint. Stand-ups and things like that. Open mic nights. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so he says, now you can unlock all the cities if they get locked down again.
Because you'll have the key. That's good.
There you go.
That's good.
That's perfect.
Where was Santa during COVID? Why didn't he come around and unlock everything?
I know. I know.
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah. Joseph says about Robert Garmong, he said he should write a book about his experience, especially his kids settling into U.S. life. His experience in general, I think he wanted to do that. So that's on his list of things to write. But I know he has other things to write, too. He's a really good writer, so that's great. Mm-hmm.
If there's nothing else in the chat we need to address, I'll just show my Post-it note. I always write a note to myself, put it up for the week to remind myself of things I already know but need to be reminded of as much as anybody else. And I already showed you my movement modalities list of dance, skip, shuffle, slide, saunter, prance, glide, run, and we can add to that, of course, strut. But my Post-it note for the week just says, dance, cowboy. Now, normally you would see that in a...
What is that from again?
In a Western, where some bad guy tells some poor victim to dance, and he starts shooting bullets at his feet in order to get him to move his feet and threaten him into dancing, making a bit of a fool of himself. Well, I think we need to frolic more. I think we need to dance more. I think we need to change our modalities from what we're used to what they could be, and stop just living those primary colors. Stop living RGB or B...
CMYK?
CMYK, thank you. And get into some of those other colors. Well, I could have just written dance with a big exclamation point and a big smiley face, and I could have written that on pink paper. I guess I did that.
Like no one's looking.
Like nobody's looking, yeah. No, dance like everybody's looking. You got to be cocky about this stuff. The reason why I had to write it in a vaguely threatening way is precisely to break through, because that's what you want to do, is break through your usual stuff and get yourself in another state of mind. It's why I used to yell abruptly just to surprise people out of their state.
Every time you did that and there was a child around, the children would start crying.
I stopped doing it because it makes children cry. It's very effective in getting somebody out of their state, but the results weren't always desirable.
Oh my gosh, Robert, you've got that superpower.
But I think dance cowboy works better than just dance exclamation point. Especially prance. You watch this like one prancing woman.
The jazz prancer or something like that, and she goes around like prances like a horse, and it's like jazzercise is what it is. I think that's what it's called. And yeah, she's really funny.
Yeah, so don't do that.
Only if you really want to.
Do that if you want to do that. If you want to prance, it takes a lot of cool. It takes a lot of something to be able to prance without, without your testosterone just evaporating from your body.
Prance without looking at yourself. No, you know what? Speaking of things we're reading or listening to or whatever, shout out to, there's a Facebook page that I'm really enjoying. Okay, it's called Elder Goths. Elder Goths? Yes. So elder like ELDER, and then goths as in GOTHS. So goths, like punks and goths and things like that. So I put some nice long like wingtip eyeliner, really long wings,
yeah,
on me today. I don't know if you can see, but
where's the black mascara? Where's the?
Well, I see there's mascara. It's black.
Yeah, no, but it's not all over. Well, but you look pretty. You look stylish.
Well, thank you.
You don't look goth.
In the 80s, if I wore this, it would be goth, because this lipstick is way too dark. In the 80s, they had that horrible frosty pink stuff. Ugh. All the girls were wearing it, and all the girls had like a foundation that was like about 3 shades darker than their neck. It was great. No, it was terrible. And anyway, so Elder Goths, that is the Facebook page that I would recommend. Especially if you are Gen X or admire Gen X, these people are, they're kind of cool. They're pretty damn cool. That's all I'm going to say. Yep.
So, good. And I guess, I don't know, is black a primary color?
Yeah.
Being the absence of color, I don't know. But
it's all colors at once.
My advice for you this week is avoid primary colors. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but because if that's all that's in your life, you're missing out. Listen to some music that's different than your usual thing. Move in ways that are not your usual movements. Eat some things that are not stuff you'd normally eat. Go find a restaurant that will serve you things you'd only had when you were young and your parents used to cook for you. We may have to go out to Wyandotte and get some stuffed peppers and, things that just I don't seem to get anymore. Get out of those primary colors, and then go back into them. There's nothing wrong with them, but get out of those primary colors. Shake things up. Dance, cowboy. Make that happen.
I just want to say, so Joseph says that, Generation X had so many great subcultures. And it was funny because on this, I don't know if I can find it now, but on this Elder Goth thing, there was somebody posted this really pretentious, like Vogue or Vanity Fair article about, the goth fashion coming back. It was, and you could tell it was written by a millennial, and nothing wrong with that. It's just that you kind of had to be there in the 80s to really understand what was going on. And anyway, they said something ridiculous like, back then you really weren't goth unless, you had these certain standards. And so I wrote back and I said, there was no gatekeeping in the 80s for anybody.
Damn right.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, if there were authoritarians, and I wrote this there, got a lot of likes, if there were authoritarians who were gatekeeping, it was either the jocks or the rednecks, or maybe Nazi skinheads, who were beating you up because you look different. I mean, so other than that, there were no gatekeepers. Sorry, it's just whatever you could cobble together from the thrift store, or dye black with the bottle of dye that you have. I mean, anyway.
Yes.
So, let's have no gatekeeping, please.
Damn right.
Ugh.
Yeah, if you survived grade school, congratulations. But also, you're an adult now. You do whatever the hell you want. Damn straight. I guess that's it. I was going to give...
What?
I was going to apply this to something the objectivist community is going through right now. And
no one's going through anything except for normal stuff, which sometimes includes really, really shitty times. Okay, that's what I'm just going to say.
Yeah. There are people in the objectivist community who are going through some hard times right now.
Yep.
And the more I learn about it, the more I learn there is to learn about it. And nothing is as simple as anybody thinks it is right now.
There are very complex situations that even if you lived in like the most ideal and rational society with a government and laws based on objective principles that only promote individual and protect individual rights, even then you're going to have really, really crazy scenarios. And this is all with good people, with decent, virtuous people. But a lot of these situations, they're going to come out real crazy, and you're going to be like, wow, how'd this happen? But you know what? Sometimes that's the nature of relationships.
But how can there be good people on both sides of a conflict? Well, y'all are about to find out. If you are, as I have suggested to you before, if you're already a member of the Harry Binswanger Letter and attend his weekly meeting of the minds discussions, then you already know what I'm talking about. But if you missed out on that, but you are aware of some of the conflicts, some people are even throwing around that charming word schism lately, just hold on tight. I've often given the advice in politics, if you really want to understand the right, or if you really want to understand the left, stop looking at it through the rose-colored glasses of bitterness and just assume for a second, that when they say things, they mean it. At least on some level.
Yep.
Just try assuming that everything is exactly as it appears to be. And the things you don't know, don't try to fill them in with, well, it's probably this.
Yes. Let me assume the worst.
You know, you know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. Leonard Peikoff famously gave that, explained that in Certainty and Happiness and the continuum between something being completely arbitrary. Somehow we didn't want to accept that when Leonard Peikoff said, well, some things are just arbitrary. No, we want to jump right to, no, I know what's going on. But there was a whole continuum from arbitrary to just possible, meaning some but not much evidence.
It's a continuum, evidentiary continuum. That's how he puts it.
To probable, when the weight of a substantial amount of evidence is in favor and nothing's known to contradict it, which is still only probable, and then certainty, when something has met the standard of proof.
Right.
There's something going on right now that it hasn't met any of those standards, except maybe arbitrary.
Well, or unknown. It's just unknown.
And what we do know from first-hand reports and from other public information draws a picture that, again, might be exactly the way it appears to be.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. But again, once again, I would say, just be entirely first-handed about this and take your time. Truth will out.
Truth will out.
Truth will out. And sign up for hbletter.com.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. You should, but I'm not going to tell you where to spend your money. And it is kind of pricey if you are, young and not flush. If your wallet is not fat.
Yeah, I'll just say, And I'll just say again, 97.3 rule. 97% of the time, try to pursue values and look at positive things in your life and
it's a good point.
And plan good things in your life. And 3%, politics and other things. Yep.
Bottom line, my note that I wrote during HBL. Well, this was not during the part where Dr. Binswanger talked about the current conflict going on.
Yeah.
This was during Jean Maroney's discussion. And a funny thing that she said was, well, not all pleasure is fun.
Wow.
As she was talking about how do you manage your emotional state and your reaction to your own emotions during long, complex, and challenging activities. And somebody during the discussion quoted Mary Poppins. How exactly did she put it? In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun.
Yeah, something
Find
like that.
the fun, and the work is a game. And Harry Binswanger objected to that strongly. And Jean Maroney said, well, not all pleasure, even things that are pleasurable, not all pleasures are fun. I thought, well, you're right. There's some pleasures, in fact, I would say should never be described as fun.
Right.
After which you would never say, that was fun. No. You decide for yourselves what I might be talking about.
That was fun, golly gee.
I'm exaggerating just a little to make the point. But here's the thing. Getting back to Dance Cowboy. You decide. You decide how heavy, how light, how much pleasure, how much fun. There's a lot of stuff we got to decide in this world what we're going to do about things that happen to us, things that are happening out in the world at large. We got a crazy election coming up in the United States. How much should you care about that? How much should you pay attention to it? How much should you worry about it? Amy said 97.3. What the hell is that? Well, my rule is that you should decide in advance how much time you're going to spend on fun, on pleasure, on both the heavy and the light joys of life, and how much time are you going to spend protecting yourself against disvalues. 97.3 is the shorthand way of reminding myself, oh, those are my numbers. Your numbers may be different. You might decide you're going to be a cop and you'll spend half of your time fighting evil. Whatever it is, decide in advance. I am not going to live my life for the sake of that which is trying to destroy me. I am living for the sake of values. Values are primary, because you can't live a life by refraining from doing evil. You actually have to get out there and do good. So, how heavy, how light, how much pleasure, how much fun, you decide. But do decide. And if you catch yourself walking down the street, say, you know, I could be strutting a little more than I am. Hell, I could be shuffling. I could be skipping. Probably shouldn't be prancing. Well, maybe. Why not?
Yeah, you know what? Throw in a little prance there with the frolics.
You decide. Write that script. Make that happen. Folks, this has been 5 minutes or so with Robert and Amy Nasir and you. And thank you for joining us, especially those of you in the chat. You are the best people in podcasting, and you make the show worth doing. If you're listening afterward on the podcasting apps, you can find that chat, those chat records on YouTube. I don't know. Does Facebook? Yeah, Facebook too. On the video, they save the chat. So you can find out all the funny things that people said that we didn't get to, even though it's very, very funny stuff out there. Now, if you want to support what we do, you know what to do. Go to robertnasir.com. Links at the bottom of the page. Our numbers went up recently, but I didn't see any new patrons last month or the month before.
Yeah.
So if somebody increased your support, thank you for that.
Thank you.
All of you who are supporting us in any way with even a few dollars a month, thank you. We appreciate it. It inspires us to keep talking to y'all. We will be back next week. We will be exhausted after Robert's 8th annual rock and roll picnic, but we will be here next Sunday. We will talk to you then. If you have any ideas for what we should be doing on the show between now and then, send us a note, post them in the 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir Facebook group, or post them in the chat and I will read them later. Sorry. Yes, I do know your name, and I will look up the number. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs when I was really into irreverence. You know my name. Anyway, not going to get into it because we're done. We're out of here. All that is left is for us to wish you every success that you so richly deserve. You deserve to get out there and dance. You deserve to get out there and strut all of the other modalities, all of the colors besides the primary ones, and those too. In fact, oh, okay. Yes, you deserve the flying owl of success.
His name is Moist Owlette.
You're killing me here. Okay. And with that, moist owlet,